When I do immigration consultations, I typically do like 5 in a row, back to back, just to keep my schedule as compact as possible. And the other day, 4 out of my 5 consultations were about permanent residents panicking and freaking out about whether they should travel internationally and whether they will be allowed back into the United States. So if you're a permanent resident, this video is for you. Let me start this video by saying the vast, overwhelming majority of permanent residents can travel internationally and have absolutely nothing to worry about right now. Based on all the information I have available to me, I completely believe that the statement I just made is true. That could change, but right now, towards the end of April 2025, this is a true statement. There are a couple situations in which I would reconsider traveling internationally. The first category is people who are using their green card as a glorified tourist visa. I've used this term before and I just think it's a very apt term for what it is. And that is, you're not permanently living in the US. You're spending the majority of your time outside of the US. And you think that as long as you come back every 6 months or once a year, you'll be fine. That's false. If you're not permanently living in the US and your pattern of travel to an immigration officer, they could see your travel history. If it looks like you're not permanently living in the US, that's a very easy situation for the officer to flag you for secondary inspection, bring you into a back room, hold you for a while, and interview you about where you're working, where you're living, where you're receiving mail, where's your family, like why are you spending so much time outside of the US? And it all comes down to whether you're intending to permanently live in the US at that time. I will just repeat in case you haven't seen my other videos on this topic. If that happens to you and the immigration officer presents you with Form I-407, which is the form to voluntarily abandon your green card, and they say something like, you have no immigration violations, you should just sign this form. It'll go a long way when you apply for a new green card at the consulate. You should get approved and they'll allow you right back in. I would not sign that until you at least speak with an immigration attorney. If you refuse to sign that, you should be aware that there's a really high probability, almost definite probability, that you will receive a notice to appear in immigration court. You'll be allowed into the US. You probably won't be detained. The vast majority of people in this situation are not detained. It would be pretty rare for you to be detained under current policies. You'll be allowed back into the US, you'll get a notice to appear, and then a judge will hold a hearing to determine whether you intended to spend that much time outside of the US and whether you simultaneously intended to maintain a permanent residence within the United States. It's unlikely that this is going to happen if you're spending the majority of your time in the US, but it still can. If you're doing like a 50-50 split, it's iffy. It depends on the immigration officer. I don't think you're going to be targeted by the majority of Customs and Border Protection officers who see someone who's spending half their time in the US, but it can happen. They can ask you. They can certainly send you to secondary inspection and interview you to see if you're intending to permanently reside in the United States. If you are NTA'd, you receive a notice to appear and placed into removal proceedings, just know you cannot travel internationally until that is resolved. So if it's a situation where you truly are coming here just using your green card to visit the US because you want to have a green card, but you don't want to live in the US right now, and you really do need to leave in a couple weeks to leave again, just know, if you don't sign Form I-407 and you're placed into removal proceedings, you won't be able to leave in 2 to 3 weeks. You probably won't even be able to leave within 6 months, maybe even a year. It could take 6 months before they even schedule your first removal hearing. So just keep that in mind. I know the majority of people are trying to actually permanently live in the US, but this was a fact pattern that I recently encountered. And in this situation, it might actually be beneficial to sign Form I-407 as opposed to be placed in removal proceedings. Again, it's a very fact-specific inquiry, so you need to speak with an attorney before you make one of these life-changing decisions. Another situation I recently encountered was somebody who got their green card through asylum, and it was their first time traveling internationally. When they re-entered the US just 2 weeks later, they were sent a secondary inspection and all of the facts of their asylum application were revisited. And I don't exactly know what the immigration officer's strategy there was, but they might have been trying to show that the person lied or misrepresented something on their previous asylum application. I've even seen this happen for people from certain countries that are likely to end up on Trump's proposed travel ban. For the first time when they travel outside of the US after getting their green card and they come back, sometimes the immigration officers will send them to secondary inspection and just go through their entire immigration history with them to make sure that they never lied on prior applications and that everything was legitimate. Here's what I generally tell people. If you've never been in immigration court and you have no criminal history or an acceptable criminal history, which means you've talked to a lawyer and they've told you you're not inadmissible and there's no chance you're deportable based on this criminal history, and you're planning on just doing a short departure, you're going on a vacation or something, or just going to your home country for like a month or two to visit family or friends. In this situation, if you're a permanent resident, you generally should not worry about traveling internationally. There's one caveat here. If you're from one of Trump's proposed travel ban countries, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google Trump's proposed travel ban 2025. There's like a whole list of countries. Some of them are urgent travel ban, less urgent, least urgent. I forget the color coding system that they're proposing using. It's a lot of countries. If you're from one of these countries, there is a heightened chance that you will be subject to scrutiny when you come back. They might ask you, what were you doing when you were traveling abroad? What were your plans? Like things like that. I don't actually expect these people to get secondary inspection. It can happen, but just if you're in this category of immigrants, just know there is a chance that you will be held up and your plan to just get off the plane and hop into your Uber might be interrupted with like a 1-hour interview with an immigration officer. I still think it's kind of unlikely unless you're from the most urgent travel ban countries, but it's definitely possible, it's happening, and it's likely to continue as Trump's immigration policies continue. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it is that you can probably travel safely as a permanent resident and you probably don't need to worry too much about it. But if you're panicking or you really want to speak with an attorney and go through a fact and you want that attorney to look at all the specific facts of your case, to tell you like what are the risks, what should you consider, what documents should you bring with you, you can schedule a consultation with me. I would be happy to go through it with you. But just know this situation is evolving and I don't know everything that could possibly happen to you. When I do know something new, I tend to make a video about it. So feel free to check my videos in the future. If you're interested in these topics, be sure to subscribe. If you need any assistance, you can consult with me. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time for another video.